In this video, we are going to go through a FILMIC Pro tutorial where you will discover a step-by-step process to turn your iPhone or your Android device into a DSLR type camera so you can film professional looking film for your YouTube or other videos, and we are going to start right now. Hi, it's Steve from It Makes Sense, and if you want to grow an affiliate marketing business through YouTube, then you've come to the right place. When we shot Dad Be a Man, we were able to produce a really good looking video, even though we're not professional filmmakers. And we did it using the FILMIC Pro app. Now, we used our iPhone, but you can also use this app on an Android device. Now, currently FILMIC Pro costs around $14.99 on both Google Play as well as Apple's App Store. And I'll leave a link down below where you can go get it for both devices. Like I said, obviously we're not professional film producers, and this app can be pretty complicated. But with just a basic understanding of some of the features, you can produce really good looking videos either for your YouTube channel or your other videos. Okay, so this is the interface of FILMIC Pro, and we're going to start on the right-hand side and work our way over to the left. So on the very right-hand side where you can see the audio balance, that is the audio bar. And that's where you can see that your audio is working either through the mic in the phone or a mic you have attached to your phone. Next to the audio bar, you will see the big white circle, and that is the record button. So you would hit that once you're ready to start filming. Next to that is the play button. So if you have videos that you've already shot, this is where you can play them. So if I hit that triangle, you see it brings up the videos that I've already shot, and I can go hit one and it'll start to play within the viewer. So click off that and come back to the screen. Next to the triangle is the gear you see, and that is where your settings are. And we're going to come back to that so I can show you some settings. In the center of the screen, you will see the timer as well as some other settings. So let's start with the red. The red is actually my battery life. So you can see on my phone, my battery is getting pretty low. Below that, that green circle is how much storage I have left on my phone. In the center, you'll see the timer. So once I hit record, that will start to increment up. If I hit the timer, it'll bring up the histogram so I can see my colors, left being black, all the way to the right being the whites. Next to that, you'll see the 30, that's your frames per second, and below that is your video quality. So for this shot, I'm at 30 frames per second at 4K. Now across from the timer, you'll see the A, and that is for some advanced filming options that we're not going to go through in this tutorial. But this is where you'll get things like peaking, and you'll get some other displays, overlays that you can use with FILMIC Pro. Now next to the A is the round circle, the one that looks like a target, and this is where you can control your focus and your exposure and lock those down and set everything to manual. And I'll show you how we can use this coming up. And finally, the three colors next to the A is where you can adjust the white balance or the color temperature of your shot. And as you can see, the color temperature of mine right now is at 5300 Kelvin. Okay, so right now everything is set to the default settings. So the first thing you will want to do is go into the settings and set your own custom settings so things are exactly how you want them. Now there are a ton of settings, and I'm not going to show them all, but I want to show you the most important settings that you might want to change and what I use to film our Dad Be a Man video. Alright, so if I click on the gear, it'll bring up the setting menu, and the first setting we're going to change is the frame rate. And you can see they range from 24 to 240 based on the current default resolution. And if we change our resolution, which I'll show you next, some of these options will be grayed out. But typically anything above 30 frames per second is considered slow motion. So depending on where you live, most videos will be shot either at 24 to 25 frames per second, and that's especially true if you live in Europe or Australia, and 30 frames per second if you live in the United States. So I'm going to set mine to 30 since I live in the US, and once I do that, I can just click on the screen and it'll take me back to the settings menu. Alright, so the next setting we are going to change is the resolution. So across the top you can see the different aspect ratios, and you can see a wide range of settings, and you can choose different settings depending on the effect you want. When we filmed Dad Be a Man, we chose 23:9:1 for ours because we wanted the black bars on the top and bottom, but you will most likely use 16:9 for most of your videos. The next is the resolution, and this will depend on the phone you're using, but it ranges anywhere from 540p to 4K, which is what we use to shoot our film. Now, ideally, you want to shoot at a minimum of 1080p. So after you selected your aspect ratio and your resolution, you next choose your quality, and the lowest is economy, and the highest is FILMIC Extreme, which is the best quality and typically will give you a higher quality video than the built-in camera app that came standard with the phone. So if you have the battery life and the space, I recommend FILMIC Extreme for the highest quality film. So now that we have our resolution settings set, we can click off of this, and then the next setting we're going to do is the audio. And you can choose if you want to film from your phone mic or an attached mic. And we used a phone mic to film our video and left all of the other settings in place. And you can also choose if you want to just do a video only without any sound. The next option here is for the optical image stabilization. If your phone has it, mine does, so I'm going to select that. So once you have everything set exactly as you want them, you can come up to the presets and you can save them here. So you can see I can save this as test, and this would be my preset with everything set to the highest quality recording. I have the 4K and then I have the FILMIC Extreme. So I'll click on the screen to get out of the presets and then click on the screen again to get out of the menu. So now that I have all of my settings, and before I hit the record button, the next thing I want to do is set up my shot. So you'll notice that I have a circle and a square, and I can move them both across the screen. Now the square is your focus. So if I move it over to this tree, I'll focus on this tree. And if I move it over to this house, now I'm focusing on this house. Now let me show you how I can lock the focus. So if I bring this pine cone in front of the camera, it's going to focus on that. If I click on the square, you can see the square turns red, and now it's going to be locked on that focal point. So if I move the pine cone away, you can see that it's out of focus because it's still on that focal point. But if I click on that red square again, it goes back to white, which means it's autofocus, and now everything's back in focus. So I'm going to move it over to this tree and lock it on this tree. Now the circle is your exposure or the brightness of your shot. So wherever I bring this, it's going to adjust the brightness according to where I have it. So if I bring the circle to the sky, it's going to darken my picture. And if I bring it down to this dark area, it's going to lighten my picture. And you can see my sky got very bright. So I'm going to bring it back up to the sky because I like my sky to look blue. Now I have my exposure how I want it, so I'm going to press the red circle and lock that down. And this is great, so especially if you're shooting video outside, because as the light is constantly changing, you don't want your video to be constantly changing colors. So this is a great feature with FILMIC Pro. And if you want to go back to automatic, then you can check the box and the circle and it'll go back to auto. Now let me show you how we can fine-tune our focus as well as our exposure. So let's go back to that target, and if we hit that target, it'll bring up these slide menus where we can fine-tune our exposure and focus to get the exact shot we want. So on the left you'll see the exposure guide. If I slide this up, it makes it brighter. And as I slide it down, it gets darker. So over on the right-hand side is the focus, and that's where I can slide it up and down to manual focus. But I also can zoom in and out, because if you're using FILMIC Pro, you can't zoom in and out like you would on a normal phone with your pincher finger. So you can't pinch in and out to zoom in and out. So you have to use this menu. Now the last setting I want to show you before you hit the record button is the white balance, and this is where you can set the color tone for your video. And here there are many different effects you can see. So the first one is tungsten, then sunny, then cloudy, and then incandescent. The A and the B are presets that you can set. And then the auto white balance is to lock it into place once you have these settings set. I can also use the slider to move around and set my own color temperatures as well as the tint. But I like to leave it at auto white balance because it does a really good job. And then once I have it, then I lock it into place. All right, now that I have everything locked down, I'm ready to start recording. So I can just hit this. So the one thing I recommend is while you're using this, you check your meters, like your battery and your storage, because as you can see here, you can run out of battery rather quickly. So I hit this record button and then I start recording. You can see the timer start to count up. And then once I'm done recording, I can just hit that circle again and I can watch what I just filmed. I'm going to take that video clip and I'm going to put it into this video so you can see how it looks live. So that's a quick tutorial on how to shoot a great looking video using FILMIC Pro. I'm recording this on an iPhone, but the settings are exactly the same on an Android. Now, if you want to film videos like this, where you're talking directly to the camera and you want to use your phone's best camera, then you want to make sure you aren't using the selfie camera because you won't get the same video quality. And you don't want to keep running back and forth to check the settings. FILMIC does have another app called FILMIC Remote where you can use another phone or another tablet as the view screen. And I don't have this, but I just wanted to mention that if this is something you are interested in trying, and it does cost extra. Now, if you want to learn how to transfer your videos from your phone over to your computer, I have a video for that where you can go watch and I will show you an easy way to transfer videos from your phone to your computer and how to quickly edit them using my favorite editing software. So go check out that video and I will see you over there.